6 p.m. in Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the primetime newscast on your number one television network, Equinoxe. Thanks for making the right choice. Thanks for choosing to be informed by Equinoxe television. In our top stories tonight, students from across Cameroon under the banner of Cap Etude are standing against a new visa policy demanding full proof of full tuition payments before admission into private universities in France. Protesting at the French embassy in Yaoundé, Cameroon, the students say that the €25,000 financial requirement is discriminatory. Also in this edition of the news, the town of Chang in the Mineral Division of the West region of Cameroon has a new mayor. The mayor was elected today by councillors of the Chang Municipal Council. It comes few months after the death of the mayor who was elected during the last municipal elections in Cameroon. These stories and more will be yours in this edition of the news. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. And this is the primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. We told you we are broadcasting live from Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city, Equinoxe Central News Desk. You made the right choice to be informed by Equinoxe. Now, we're starting on this protest demonstration. Students from across the Republic of Cameroon under the banner of Cap Etude who have staged a protest demonstration in front of the French embassy in the political capital city of Cameroon in Yaoundé. The students are standing against a new visa policy that demands proof of full tuition payment before admission into private universities across France. The students also say that the financial requirement, that of €25,000 to them is discriminatory. Details with Mala Glory in the following report.
Dressed in their uniforms, a crowd of frustrated students led by the Cap Etude marched peacefully to the French embassy in Yaoundé on Tuesday, July 14, 2026. Cap Etude is a Cameroonian organization that advocates for families and assists students navigating study abroad procedures, particularly the Campus France-Cameroun process.
Vous avez une flopée d'étudiants, de familles, de parents qui sont stupéfaits.
Many students and families are worried about a new law requiring full financial regularization before visa applications. For example, a student in Paris with €25,000 in tuition fees must have their parents pay the entire amount upfront, which does not include housing deposit, health insurance or living expenses.
Ceci n'a rien à voir avec les frais de vie, notamment la caution qui s'élève à 10 200 €. Donc on a un total de plus de 35 000 €.
According to the demonstrating students, the recent strict financial requirements constitute a violation of human rights and contradicts fair principles regarding the treatment of students' applications.
Cette nouvelle décision vient totalement bafouer les principes.
The new decision violates one of the most fundamental human rights, the right to education.
Et cela ne favorise pas l'équité dans l'éducation.
Gathering in front of the embassy, the protesters called for an inclusive dialogue with diplomatic officials to address the issue.
Nous sommes venus faire entendre notre voix.
We have come to make our voices heard, and if this is considered, it should be followed by an inclusive dialogue where they will take into consideration the repercussions of the decision, which will mean the postponing the present decision to next year so that students can better prepare. The protesters expressed deep concern and anger over a new policy, including Cameroonian students admitted to private French higher education institutions to provide proof of full tuition payment on equivalent sum locked in a bank account before a visa can even be processed. Citing a total procedural and tuition demands of about €25,000, roughly 16.4 million francs CFA, in a single installment, which they say unfairly targets only Cameroonian applicants.
And for over decades, Pole Road Network has left inhabitants of Ekondo Titi. It is a subdivision in the Indian division of Cameroon's southwest region, isolated with adverse negative impact on their economic and social activities. However, hope is said to be in the horizon, with funds secured for the rehabilitation of a strategic network linking some villages in that part of the Republic of Cameroon. The population, however, after the news, are expressing hope that the project will kickstart as soon as possible. The views, the minds, and the opinions of the people were carried by traditional rulers of Ekondo Titi to the #1 administrator of the Southwest region, that is Governor Bernard Okalia-Bilai. Meeting the governor, the people are also, or the traditional rulers, first of all, expressed their gratitude, but also expressed their wish that the project starts as soon as possible. Details with Equinoxe.
For many residents of the Equinoxe Titi subdivision in the southwest region, traveling from one village to another remains a daily struggle. With no tarred roads and no permanent bridges, motorcycles are the main means of transport, navigating muddy and slippery tracks that become nearly impassable during the rainy season. Where bridges are absent, riders are forced to ride their motorcycles through river crossings, while some residents wade across on foot. Others rely on fragile makeshift wooden bridges that have become veritable death traps. Hope is, however, on the horizon, following the government's allocation of funds for the rehabilitation of the Lobe, Bekora, Bafaka, Pondo, Bisoro roads network. Welcoming the initiative, traditional rulers from Balwe and Barombi villages addressed a communique to the governor of the Southwest region, expressing gratitude for the project while requesting that the Civil Engineering Corps of the Cameroon Armed Forces be entrusted with its execution, citing persistent insecurity that could hinder civilian contractors. The chiefs later paid a courtesy visit to the governor in Boya.
We have come to study with him the ways and means of expediting it and obtaining his blessing for the supervision and implication of our populations, those of us along the road. The governor has told us that nowadays chiefs are normally supposed to be implicated in projects that are taking place in their area.
He urged the traditional rulers to closely monitor the execution of the project and support the contractor to ensure its successful completion.
The governor congratulated us for being conscious, for taking part in things that concern us, and it also advised us to be vigilant, and that the government has now authorized local traditional authorities to oversee contracts that come to the area. So that we should be vigilant and we should accompany whoever will be awarded the contract.
Governor Bernard Okalia-Bilai also reaffirmed the government's commitment to improving access and living conditions in the entire Equinoxe Titi subdivision.
And still in the southwest region of Cameroon, years of instability and the absence of coordinated leadership has deprived Mekonyong, a village in Akwaya subdivision, this time around in the Manyu division, of basic social amenities. However, a new brand of elites of the village are taking matters into their very own hands. Meeting in Boya in what they call an AGM of elites of this village, they say that they have deprived or come up with a coordinated timeline to be able to impose development in their village. They intend to start with the precious liquid, which is providing potable drinking water to Mekonyo and several other developmental issues. We have details with Rexafon from Boya.
With the escalation of hostilities in Cameroon's English-speaking regions, one of the communities was affected is Mukonyong village in Akwaya subdivision of the southwest region. As a result, the community has been deprived of several basic social amenities.
This village has been backward for some time due to its problems, socio-economic problems of lack of roads, potable water, electricity.
Most of the people in Mukonyo are farmers, agriculturists. They cultivate many crops, and you see farmers have products. They don't have this possibility to take this product to the market.
Meeting in Boya, sons and daughters of Mukonyong resolved to intensify efforts to unite themselves and spearhead the development of their village.
The aim of Wenesday is to unite, to rally all Mukonyong sons and daughters that reside out of the home community for one purpose: to give back through identifying priority development projects and the needs, the development needs of our people, to see how we can put our resources together and give a better life and bring about sustainable development to our home community.
The mayor of Mamfe, who traces his roots to Mukonyong, has pledged his unwavering support for the community's development initiatives.
All of us know of the crisis. Mukonyong was hard hit by the crisis. And gone are those days, and today what we are about to do is to rebuild. They don't have any other tendencies other than discussing the development of Mukonyong. I've advised them that contribution, coming together, forgiving one another, staying together is what matters. We cannot develop if we are not.
The elites have prioritized their development agenda and are set to begin by providing the most essential social amenities before gradually expanding to the other development projects.
As I told you, it is one of the major villages of Akwaya. It is a subdivision in Manu of the Southwest region. Now, we're leaving the Southwest region of Cameroon back to the littoral to say that an alarming healthcare delivery crisis is said to be unfolding in North Makombe, that's in the Camp division of the littoral region. In Doutoron, for example, a beautiful integrated health center, duly constructed and equipped by the government of Cameroon, has been abandoned in the bush. The local people say that health personnel transferred to the health facility have not resumed work till date, leaving the local people to suffer in their quest for health. Details with Law Manuro in the following report.
The Dontro Integrated Health Center, abandoned in the bush. No patient, no medical doctor, and no life. The entire building is swallowed by trash. The walls are cracking. The staff has completely abandoned the center. Months ago, the Ministry of Public Health officially assigned a female healthcare worker to this post. However, sources confirm she never showed up to assume her duty.
This hospital na d'ici Amso na centre de santé intégré from Doutoron. And since we, Monsieur le Ministre.
The hospital you see behind me is the health center of Doutoron. And since the Minister of Public Health transferred an official year, the person has never showed up for service. This is why we are crying for the government's intervention to review our situation.
Say, come help them. How will now the woman never come for take work?
Because of this single absence, an entire population has been left to fend for themselves.
People that are sick for ya, we from go to them sick in no day. People that are suffer, time we sick, the whole them.
As the Dontro Health Center continues to decay under the weeds, the frustration of the North Makombe population grows. They are now crying out to the Minister of Public Health for an urgent intervention.
We are begging the Minister of Public Health that the woman that was sent to work here has not resumed work till date, and we hear that she is working elsewhere.
Government try to see the problem.
I bet Papa Minister, you say put an eye for down people you resign for different places. Now Cameroon don't want.
The contrast between brand new building decaying under the weeds and the population left entirely without medical care highlights a severe breakdown in the system.
And Cameroon surprisingly continues to rely on imported rice despite its huge potentials for local production. In the Far North region, for example, poor climatic conditions and irrigations have caused a drastic drop in locally made rice like that of Maga. The Maga rice production has dropped, pushing prices in the market and at the same time providing an opportunity for rice imported with doubtful quality for Cameroonians to consume. Within this challenging situation, authorities are seeing the need to boost irrigation systems in Maga, for example, in order to increase production. Details with Immaculate Fogwe in the following report.
Rice is the most widely consumed staple food in Cameroon, yet the country remains heavily dependent on imports, despite having vast agricultural potential to boost local production. In the Far North region, particularly in Maga, locally produced rice is becoming increasingly expensive, making it less accessible to many households. A 25 kilogram of rice that was once sold for 6,500 francs now costs 9,000 francs. Ironically, many consumers acknowledge that Maga rice is of better quality than imported varieties. Farmers say the decline in production is driven by a combination of challenges such as climate change that has brought recurring drought and devastating floods, and poor management of irrigation infrastructure has further reduced yields. If irrigation systems are fully restored and water reaches the rice fields, production costs will fall, making Maga rice more affordable and competitive with imported rice. To revive the sector, the rehabilitation of the Maga rice irrigation scheme is underway under the Viva Logon project financed by the World Bank. Government officials recently visited the site to assess the progress of work. According to this project official, physical implementation has reached 54%, while financial execution stands at approximately 51%. While welcoming the progress made so far, representatives of rice farmers say major challenges remain. This rice farmer points to the need to complete the rehabilitation of primary and secondary irrigation canals, which are essential for ensuring reliable water supply to the rice fields. As rehabilitation works continue, farmers remain hopeful that renewed investment in irrigation and rice production will strengthen Cameroon's food security and reduce the country's dependence on imported rice.
And still in the economy, Cameroon stands the risk of losing up to 292 billion francs CFA funds already allocated or approved by the World Bank for strategic developmental projects in Cameroon. Out of the 292 billion francs CFA still hanging or pending the World Bank for Cameroon because of administrative constraints. Reports also indicate that some 207 billion of this money is meant for strategic road projects like the Ngura-Yokaduma road project, which risks being cancelled if urgent actions are not taken. The warning underscores growing concerns over delays in implementing key development projects across Cameroon. Details of Equinoxe.
The warning was sounded during the joint portfolio review between the government of Cameroon and the African Development Bank held in Yaoundé. According to documents presented at the meeting, 7 development projects worth about 292 billion francs CFA are now at risk of cancellation. The funds have already been approved by the African Development Bank, but they have not yet been mobilized because financing agreements have either not been signed or project implementation has failed to begin within the required deadlines. The project facing the greatest threat is the Ngura-Yokaduma Road, roughly 207 billion francs CFA, representing more than 71% of all the financing currently at risk. 5 other projects are also threatened, including support for the Pan-African University, the Minkuma hydroelectric study on the Senegal River, the CUAY2 University City project, the Lake Chad Stabilization Program, and the regional transport project that includes the construction of a bridge over the Ntem River. Another project, the second phase of the Kribi Industrial and Port Zone Access Roads project, presents a different concern. Although its financing agreement has already been signed, no funds have been disbursed for more than 15 months, placing an additional 26.5 billion francs CFA at risk of cancellation. The review also exposed significant delays in the implementation of African Development Bank-funded projects in Cameroon. On average, it takes 12 months to sign financing agreements instead of the bank's target of 3 months, while the first disbursement takes 21 months, nearly double the expected 12-month time frame. Speaking during the review, the Minister of the Economy, Planning and Regional Development, Alamin Ousmane May, attributed the delays to inadequate project preparation, slow public procurement procedures, implementation challenges, weak project management capacity, delays in providing government counterpart funding, and the failure to meet contractual conditions on time. The government has been urged to accelerate these procedures, as failure to do so could see Cameroon lose hundreds of billions of francs CFA in development financing intended for key infrastructure, education, and regional integration projects.
And we told you in our top stories that the town of Chang in the Manual division of the West region of Cameroon has got a new mayor. The man who served as interim after the death of the former mayor of Chang has been officially elected today to manage and run the affairs of the Chang Council for the next remaining half of the current mandate. He was voted by municipal councillors of Chang in a highly contested race. And of course, the new mayor of Chang now is Professor Emile Tamkwa. He served as interim mayor when the former died. He was elected today in a tight race. We shall be coming back to details in subsequent editions of News on Equinoxe television. And in our international news roundup, we'll be going to the much anticipated and talked about return of former President Macky Sall to the nation Senegal, and also a historical election, and of course that is election fever that is building up in the West African nation of Benin. All that with Law Maniero in the following international news speech.
In Senegal, the political atmosphere is active as former President Macky Sall is expected to arrive in Dakar. After some time away, his return is highly anticipated by political parties and supporters. People in the capital are waiting to see how his presence will influence the country's current political scene. Observers say the return could mark a new chapter for the opposition. We turn to Benin. In the surprising move, the government has announced the temporary suspension of Autonomous National Electoral Commission, also known as SENA. His sudden decision has raised many questions among citizens and political leaders. The authorities have not yet given full details about this change, but everyone is watching closely as the country prepares for the future electoral steps. To South Africa, the ongoing legal case of activist Kemi Seba has taken another turn. The South African court has officially postponed his transfer hearing to August 11. The Pan-Africanist activist will remain in detention until that date. Benin is requesting his return, but his lawyers are fighting the demand, claiming his life will be in danger if he is sent back.
And that's all we had time for as far as news is concerned on Equinoxe television. We shall be coming back to other interesting stories subsequently. Among the stories expected ahead will be a strategic and important visit of the Chief of Staff of Ground Forces of the Cameroonian Army, Major General Salim Mamadou, who has carried out an inspection and evaluation mission at the headquarters of the 21st Motorized Infantry Brigade in Buea in the Southwest region. These and other interesting stories should be expected in our subsequent editions of News on Equinoxe television. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you immensely for your keen attention. Still with Equinoxe. Up next, we're going to be having Equinoxe Soir, our daily program, and of course, after that, you'll be having a full newscast in the French language that will be at 8 p.m. Goodbye for now. Have a blessed day.